world's most desirable cities all have something in common. They're expensive. There exists a correlation between city desirability and housing affordability. In the past 20 years, Copenhagen has made a considerable effort to make living in the city more enjoyable through investment in its urban design and livability. And they definitely succeeded, as it's now widely considered one of the world's best and most livable cities. However, with that success comes a new problem: affordability, specifically housing affordability. As Copenhagen looks towards the future, they have started construction on large development projects to increase the amount of housing in the city. Today, I'm going to look at the plans Copenhagen has to combat its housing crisis. And to better understand the plan, I'm going to visit Nordhavn, an area where the city plans to build a total of 40,000 new homes when it's complete. And I'm going to discover what they're doing right and what could be done differently. This is Nordhavn in Copenhagen. It's an architecturally brilliant area designed by Copenhagen-based Coby architects. Nordhavn is one of the largest current development projects in Scandinavia and is situated on an old industrial site. It is being developed by CPH City and Port Development, which is a publicly owned development firm. In this district, they are aiming to build 40,000 new homes that are well connected to the rest of the city via transit, walking, and biking. It sits along the M4 metro line and an S-train station. As this new district gets built, there are plans in place to extend Copenhagen's M4 metro line past the current terminus of Orientkaj. And as far as the design of this area, the buildings aim to be architecturally distinct. Take this building, which is built out of an old grain silo, this parking garage that has a public trampoline park on top, or the many pedestrian and bike-friendly spaces throughout the project. On a list of the most expensive zip codes in Denmark, number 1 is Nordhavn, at a price per square meter of $8,300, which for reference is $775 per square foot. So what is it that has made Nordhavn so expensive? Well, firstly, Nordhavn's design as a 5-minute city creates a lot of appeal, where everything from shops to cultural facilities and public transport is within a 5-minute walk from anywhere in the district. This level of urban planning convenience adds to the cost of living as it significantly improves the quality of life for residents. Nordhavn has also received a lot of recognition for being a green neighborhood, which has farther driven up property prices by making it more desirable. And finally, Nordhavn's extensive use of repurposed materials and its role as a cultural hotspot, with facilities like harbor baths and extensive waterfront areas, make it a more desirable and therefore more expensive place to live. Okay, so basically, it's Nordhavn's incredible design that has caused it to become super expensive. But we want more places that are designed in a high-quality way like Nordhavn. So how can we craft a solution that allows us to have incredible places like Nordhavn, but without the crazy high housing costs? I believe there are 3 initial ways that this could be done. The first way is, well, the obvious one, and that is to build designated affordable housing. Even with Nordhavn's large plans to build a ton of housing, there really isn't much affordable housing built yet, relative to the rest of the housing supply in the area. As of 2024, there are about 3,400 people living in Nordhavn, but there are only 131 affordable apartments in the area. In fact, there's only one building, called the Orientkaj, that provides social housing in the area. And that's a shame because this one building is an excellent example of how quality social housing can be constructed. Unlike some of Copenhagen's other social housing projects, this one is designed to combat the feeling of isolation by incorporating community spaces into the project. And it also places an emphasis on having a high-quality interior and exterior design. For reference, a 70 square meter or 750 square foot apartment in this social housing building costs approximately $875 US. And in comparison, an apartment of the same size in the neighboring building costs approximately $1,750 US. The Orienton is an excellent example of social housing that is well integrated into the fabric of Nordhavn. And I think that in order for Nordhavn to truly play a part in alleviating the housing crisis in Copenhagen, it's important to build more projects like the Orienton across the neighborhood. Another step that could help alleviate housing pressure is to allow for taller buildings to be constructed. I know that this proposal is often met with backlash in Copenhagen over concerns about shade and, quote, the vibe in the city. However, Nordhavn already has some buildings that are taller than most other buildings in the city. In fact, Nordhavn's most architecturally distinct buildings are its tallest. Take the Portland Towers, which are constructed out of former industrial silos. Or take this building, which is appropriately named the Silo, and is built out of a 17-story former grain silo. These two buildings are amazing and architecturally beautiful. So why not build more tall buildings in this district? After all, building denser will allow the city to build more housing units on the same amount of land, which in theory creates more supply and will lower housing prices. The third way that Nordhavn could better alleviate the housing crisis is to build less parking. Parking drives up housing prices because it is wildly expensive to build and takes up space that could provide for more housing. For reference, just one parking garage space can cost anywhere from $30,000 US to $80,000 US per space. This parking construction cost is passed on to renters and buyers. Nordhavn has numerous parking garages. To be fair, they are well designed, like this one that has a park and trampoline on it, but they are still just that, parking garages, a place to store cars in a neighborhood that is incredibly well connected with the rest of the city. Throughout Nordhavn, you'll see bike lanes and pedestrian streets, not to mention that it has two metro stops, one at Nordhavn Station and another at Orienkai, and sits along the S-train network. So I would argue that Nordhavn really doesn't have a need for all this parking. And by building less parking in the future development areas of Nordhavn, they can construct more housing in the place of these garages, and for the buildings that have on-site parking, you can achieve lower rents and sales prices by foregoing building the parking in that building. All things considered, Nordhavn is a truly excellent urban development. It's filled with some of the best urban design practices and architecture, and its high prices show the value that people place on living in spaces that are incredibly well designed, walkable, and transit focused. So what can be learned from Nordhavn? Well, first, it's a great lesson in how to create life in an old industrial area and how to design a 5-minute city around people and transit. The other lesson? Well, it's that quality urban design is both desirable and amazing. So amazing, in fact, that it might just become the most expensive area in the country.